movie lovers. um, Today I want to do my review for Avatar: The Way of Water. I just watched it today. I was planning on seeing it originally, opening Friday night, Saturday night, but family and I have still been getting over, being under the weather, so saw it today, Monday afternoon. Want to share my thoughts on it. If I decide to get into spoilers, I will give a warning. Sometimes I'm not sure if my review is going to lead to spoilers, but if it does, I will give a spoiler warning. Okay? All right. So I'm sure a lot of you probably did see the movie opening weekend if you're watching this Monday night or Tuesday. Of course, this movie has been over a decade in the waiting, making, we all knew that after the first Avatar movie, they kind of had said, James Cameron, that it was going to be several years before they did a sequel because of the technology and because the way James Cameron wants this world to look, which the first movie was really like a revolutionary thing in a lot of ways because of the visual, like the effects and the CGI and the way they were able to make them look so real, which I did watch it maybe a few weeks ago. The first Avatar movie, it has aged pretty well as far as the visual effects and everything. So of course we all know that the second one is going to be visually beautiful, stunning to watch, to see this world that James Cameron has created. And so definitely I will say that is probably the best thing about Avatar: The Way of Water, in my opinion. Just gonna start off with, I think what the best thing is the world that James Cameron and everyone who created this with him has made. Pandora, Navi, the clans, the tribes, the culture that they have created with Pandora, I think is the definitely the best part about it. Seeing how they interact and connect with wildlife, the water, nature, the creatures, and their whole, the cultural things and just everything about it, like visually, how they glow, how it's just so beautiful and stunning, and it looks so real and believable that it's a real place and that these creatures and these people are real. That's the best part about it, and I think that's what it really, the strongest thing that it offers is the world of Pandora and the Navi people and everything about it, and that culture and this people that they have created. I think that's the best part about it, in my opinion. So visually and, you know, like artistically, it's definitely captivating. And I mean, you really see the budget in this movie. It was a massive budget, and you can see that. Like, it looks beautiful and on a huge screen. I think that's the main reason to see it in theaters, is because of how visually stunning it is. It is a pretty long movie, generally speaking. There are plenty of movies that are just as long or longer, but it is pretty long. It's like over the 3 hour mark, which is fine. The first one's pretty long too. I definitely, like, a lot of my favorite movies are on the longer side. I mean, BVS, Zack Snyder Justice League, Titanic, which is also James Cameron. There's plenty of movies that I really enjoy that are on the longer end runtime. But this one, I don't know if it was necessary for it to be as long as it was. Um, I kind of found myself being a little checked out, like halfway through, I would say, maybe around the 2 hour mark. I was kind of feeling like it might have not necessarily need to be that long. Like, I definitely like when movies have time to breathe, they can take their time and tell the story. That's definitely necessary. However, I think when you have a movie that is a pretty decent runtime, the story needs to be able to carry the whole time. Like, the story needs to be able to carry through that entire time, to keep you engaged, to keep you invested, to keep you interested in more than just how beautiful it looks. It's definitely stunning, like I said. But the story also has to carry through for that 3 hours, 3+ hours. And for me, the story just did not carry enough for the movie to be that long. Um, the story was just a little too, it was too weak and lacking, in my opinion, as far as depth. And it just wasn't very different from the plot of the first movie. The main difference, of course, was the fact that Sully and his family, the main characters and the main family, that we know from the first movie, now they have kids and everything, so their family has expanded. The main difference in the plot, and I don't think this is really a spoiler because it's obviously what the movie's about, is that they move to a different clan, an island clan, to be safe. And so they learn the way of that clan, which is the way of water. They come from a rainforest clan, and they're going to now learn the way of water. When they're at this new island and they're learning the way of water, and you get to see them learning this new way of life, seeing the underwater world, and all of that was definitely really cool. Introduction to another part of Pandora that is really cool, and that I definitely enjoyed. And seeing a different type of clan that is part of Pandora. They are still Na'vi, but they're different. They're like a different color. They're more aqua, like the water. Some of their characteristics are different. Their tails, their hands, they're different. They're a different clan. They live in the water and they interact with wildlife in the water. And seeing that connection between them and the underwater creatures was definitely really cool. And how they can understand each other and how intelligent the sea life is was really awesome. But having, like, I don't think this is a spoiler either because you see him in the trailers, having the same bad guy, I just didn't feel like there was anything really different as far as the plot. There are different elements in the plot, like different details. The overall plot of the movie was not a whole lot different. I was watching the trailers, I was wondering, like, what is there more to the story that's going on? Like, I wanted to see what else we were going to find out in the movie that was like going to be really unexpected or something. And there just really wasn't. I was like, okay, I kind of felt like the trailers weren't really telling much of what the story was going to be, besides the fact that there's some kind of war or battle going on. There's not really much more besides that. I mean, they have a family, they have children, so the stakes are higher in that aspect because now they're trying to keep their kids safe. And so that raised the stakes for sure. But I just kind of felt like the story was not strong enough to carry for a 3+ hour movie. I would have wanted the story to be a little bit more deep and more different from the first one. Like, it's one thing for a story to continue from the first movie. That's definitely expected for most sequels. The story has to continue in some way. You don't want it to be like completely detached from the first movie because that's just weird. But it just felt too similar as far as the story, the plot line. The main plot points felt too similar to the first one. Another thing that kind of threw me off was the first, maybe like the beginning of the movie, maybe the first 15-20 minutes or so, the pacing was a little weird. I don't know if it's just the way they cut it in the beginning. I'm not sure. The pacing was a little off for me. I don't know if anyone else had that experience, but and then it kind of just fell a little bit flat for me. Um, Kind of towards the middle, and then the third act picked up with some more, with like action and more things that were a little bit, it was the third act picked up, which is you also expect in a movie, and definitely had a really emotional, where I cried I did cry at the end of the movie. It was more intense. The third act was more intense, and like you could feel the weight kind of more of what was going on compared to earlier parts in the movie. But like I said, I think the world building is definitely the strongest thing about it's the strongest point. Like, there's no doubt about that. The world building is absolutely beautiful. It's amazing. It's so detailed as far as like how the things that they have thought of to include in creating this world, and how they connect, and how they, these different all these different things that mean something in their world. That is definitely the strongest. I hope I didn't give anything away that was like, a spoiler for anybody. I don't really think there's much to spoil. maybe the ending. There's a part at the ending that would probably be considered a spoiler. I will go back and say I do like some of the parallels between the first one and this one, where in the first one you have Sully learning the way of the Navi, and he's learning that with Zoe Saldana's character. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna ruin their character names. And then in the second one of his sons, you see the parallel of him learning the way of water. Well, all of them are, but they focus a lot on one of his sons and the daughter of the chief of that clan. And you see the parallel between that relationship of her teaching him the way of water, just like his mom taught his dad the same thing. So I do like that aspect of it as well. But as far as story, there's just not a lot to really like give much feedback on, because it was kind of a little bit bland in some parts of the story for me. But still beautiful to watch, and I give them credit for putting a lot of thought and work and effort into making a visually stunning movie. I just wish the story would have been like stronger and carried the movie a little bit better. But thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts if you watched the movie already. And check out, I've been uploading a couple of shorts, like reaction videos, if you're into that kind of thing. I definitely want to keep doing that. So thank you guys for your support on the channel. And don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.